You're listening to Pro Booth Talk, education and insights for photo booth company owners.
Welcome back to Pro Booth Talk. How are you doing?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us again.
We have a guest host in the studio with us today.
Super excited.
Super excited.
Hey, guys.
Catalina.
Hi, Catalina.
I'm very excited to be here. Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, welcome.
Can't wait to chat.
Thank you for joining us. It's such an honor.
So for the two people out there that don't know who you are, give us a brief explanation.
How can you not? How can you not? How can you not know who Catalina is? Gosh.
I will definitely intro myself. Hello, my name is Catalina. I own a couple of brands, Modern Photo Booth and Modern Activations. I've been in this business for over a decade now, which is just crazy. This is our 10-year anniversary this year.
Ooh, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty huge. And also Photo Booth Mastery. So I've been doing that for a couple of years where I teach photo booth owners about how to master business and technical skills. Essentially just teaching you how I run my business, right? Because it's worked for me for a couple of years. So I really love being able to give back and kind of be that support that I always wanted myself while I was coming up through the ranks of photo booth world and entrepreneurship and all the mess that is when you're kind of doing it alone, right? I love that now there's just so many resources and podcasts and all this kind of stuff now for photo booth owners because it's not as lonely.
This.
No.
Yeah. We didn't have this back then.
It was all like photographers and that's it.
I haven't looked at the mastery, so I can't comment on it personally, but I have spoken to a lot of people that did, and I wrote you an email to the same effect last year. But after PBX last year, I spoke to several people preparing to do a podcast and asking like, what kind of education is out there? What are you doing? And what do you think is missing? And everyone that mentioned that they're using your course, there's just overwhelming positivity, and the feedback was just really, really great. So I can't give a direct endorsement, but several third-party endorsements. It sounds like it's really good stuff.
Amazing. Love hearing that. That's all I want, to overexceed people's expectations. I mean, there's I feel like everyone nowadays is a coach, right? Like in every industry. And so you never really know what you're going to get. So I always want to make sure that they're like, oh, this is better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And either is a coach or I've considered doing something similar until I realized that I have no structure. I restructure everything like every 9 months, every 18 months. I upend everything and decide there's a better way, and it's a constant change. So
fair enough.
Yeah, I'm a mess.
Well, if you ever decide, I can give you some pointers on that too.
I'm sure. So what's your history prior to photo boothing? Where does all this organization and
big old sigh, Catalina?
Well, prior to photo boothing, I worked in insurance.
Oh gosh, that's totally different.
Yeah. So, I mean, I always kind of did something creative on the side, right? Because I was always trying to I always said I will not rot in a corporate, office where my creativity just dies slowly every single day, And what did I do? I went into insurance because it was the only, kind of real paying job I could getting out of college, which funny enough, I went to for entrepreneurship. Didn't get very good grades. Actually, I got a D in entrepreneurship in college. So
wow.
I really want to find my teacher and be like,
what's up now?
Yeah, exactly. Right. That same college has now asked me to come and talk about entrepreneurship, and actually no, I'm good because I'm going to tell them it doesn't matter. School doesn't matter. So I went into insurance, commercial insurance though. So not car and home insurance.
Right.
It was really great though, because I got a glimpse into a lot of businesses and financials and, really cool stuff. I know that those two words don't really usually go together, like insurance and cool, but I've done a policy for an astronaut, which was really interesting.
Wow.
Life insurance policy is worldwide, but it's well, this guy's going out of this world.
Out of the world.
So I got to do some really cool stuff there. But the best part about it was the training that I got, because I ended up working for one of the largest insurance brokers in the world at one point, and they just gave us so much sales training, but it was the sales training the type of sales that I hated doing, those pressure sales.
Consultative?
Mhm.
Oh.
Oh no, it was the opposite. At first, they were teaching like a lot of like, this is how you have to sell. And I was like, this doesn't resonate with me. But then we got this manager who I'll never forget him, because he changed a lot of my views on sales. And he's the one who introduced consultative sales, right?
Yeah.
And he just kept going at it. I think he was at the company for just like 2 years, but he kept giving us so much training on it. And I'm like, this makes sense to me, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where I got a lot of my sales training for. So like, if you can sell insurance, I feel like you can sell almost anything at this point.
If you can sell, you can sell anything. If you can sell.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was my background. Obviously the job was, it was okay, but I was still like paycheck to paycheck. Couldn't really I honestly don't really understand how most people live paycheck to paycheck, because when I did, it was a struggle. I'm not that good at budgeting. Let's be honest. I'm great at spending money. So for me, I didn't see myself wanting to climb any higher up that corporate ladder. Like I did not want to manage salespeople, and I really wanted to do the photography. So I was trying to start my own wedding photography business, and I did a lot, like years of second shooting and, all the courses, and followed all the photographers and stuff, and did all the workshops. And then when I tried to actually go out and do it on my own, it just wasn't working for me. Right. And so I went to WPPI, which is in Vegas. And it's like
what wedding photography professionals international,
I believe. Yeah.
Something portrait. Yeah. Wedding and Portrait Photographers International. There it is. Wedding and
okay.
But there they have like everything photography like related, right? It was the only trade show that I knew of back then that did photography related stuff. And I was super broke. We just bought a house, had no money because it all went into our mortgage, debt, like all that fun stuff. And I couldn't even afford to go to Vegas, right? I remember I went to go see a psychic, and I asked her, I'm like, I feel like I should go to Vegas. What do you think? Like, what are you seeing? At this point, I don't even know who to ask, because, it was a big investment for me. And she's like, you have to go. She's like, this is going to be a pivotal moment. She's like, I see you on TV or something. I think you're doing a cooking show. And I'm like, it's definitely not a cooking show, because I burnt 6 eggs yesterday for breakfast. Like I cannot cook at all. Useless. I was like, okay, that's weird. But she's like, you have to go. So got with 2 of my friends. We got a $60 a night room at Excalibur, got the cheapest flight we could possibly find to Vegas, and got free passes to WPPI from one of the vendors, like just the expo floor passes.
Yeah.
Because I knew a lot of the photographers I wanted to see were going to do little talks there. So that's where I found my first photo booth, and the rest is kind of history.
So wild.
Yeah, that's one cool thing that I see at some of the different conventions, like Wedding MBA and WPPI both do that same thing. Like on the showroom floor, they typically have like little stages off to the side, and they have like ongoing education for smaller groups that you can just kind of pop into. It'd be welcome at PBX.
I really connect with you sitting there talking about it was a big investment and you had to like consult with somebody, because I felt the same way. Like I was lucky that someone pushed me to go, because I felt like it was such an investment in money that I didn't have. And it was so pivotal. It was so pivotal in my career if I didn't go. Had I not gone, it would have been a whole, so I really resonate with that.
Yeah. You know how there's moments in your life where you're just like, like if you were to write a book, it's like this chapter would be exclusively for this, right? And also though, the decision to get you there was probably one of the hardest ones you had to make in life.
And
right?
It's crazy, Catalina, because that decision seems like it's such a small decision at that moment. Yeah. And when you look back, you just think, my gosh, this whole career was built off me going that one decision.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. It was a psychic that
pushed me over. And now that was my first time going to see a psychic too. And now anytime I see a psychic, I'm like, let's just stop in and see what's going on. Yeah, very funny. I'm not really
So have they ever brought up cooking again?
No, definitely not. It was really funny because now when I look back on it, she just kind of kept saying, she's like, you're teaching, you're on TV. And I'm like, well, TV's kind of dying right now. But I think what you maybe was seeing was me on YouTube, teaching people about photo booths. And maybe there was a bit, my husband used to own a catering company. So back then I was like, I don't know, maybe she's seeing Darren and not me. But there's still one more thing she said. And she said it, I actually called her again 10 years later and asked her like what she sees next, because I was kind of feeling like, where do I go now? I've hit all the goals I set out for myself. And I was feeling kind of lost, going like, I could do this, I can do that. Like, this is kind of where I'm feeling I should go. And she gave me another thing that she's like, oh, well, you're going to do this. I'm like, really? Okay. Not on my radar at all. So we'll see if it comes true.
I mean, her first prediction is pretty accurate. I mean, I know you don't see it as you being on TV, but like, you are like an influencer in our industry. You're on social media, you're a speaker. I mean, crazy accomplishments. So I have to ask Catalina, because I first met you in Texas. Remind me what that was called.
PBPI.
How long, when I met you then, you have grown so much on like your presence on stage. I don't know, like what was that in your career? Where were you in your career at that time when I saw you on stage?
Oh my gosh, that whole conference is honestly a bit of a blur. That was, I think, 2017 or 20, I think it's 2017. So I would have been like 3 years in. I mean, funny enough, the reason that I even got in front of people for photo booth stuff was because I met Brandon and Katrina at WPPI, right? I bought my first photo booth from them, and back then the company was tiny. It was just them and like one other person. And so it was very hands-on. Like, they provided all the support. They provided all the marketing material because they were photographers. And so we built a really good relationship, and I just kept sharing all these successes with them. And when I hit 6 figures, I was like, guys, I hit 6 figures. I now have 3 of your photo booths. Like, I just want to thank you for creating this product, because you're changing lives for people, right? Like, who knows where I would be if I didn't come across this, and if they didn't build the product. And that product was only 2 years old at that point.
Wow.
So, they also took a leap of faith that is pivotal in a lot of people's lives, right? And so, Brandon also at that point, not really knowing what he was doing either, was like, well, why don't we record your story? And that was essentially the first course I ever did. We did a course called 6 Steps to 6 Figures, where I just walked through everything I did. It's so bad, you guys. Looking back at it now, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this needs to be re-recorded. And like, I really hope this isn't still available to anyone.
Well, we're going to have to deep dive and find it.
Yeah.
Though, it's those first few steps that you go through and you struggle through and you fight through. And then now look at you. I mean, I saw you at the last time you spoke. I feel like we're a lot at the same events. And the last time you spoke, I mean, it was your presence from like the first time I saw you is so different, Catalina. I mean, I still get, bits of knowledge from every time I see you. But the first time I was like, I heard and I always bring it up in our podcast. I don't know if you watch this or not, but like, I keep bringing up like one thing that just really changed, like how I approach business when you talked about an equal exchange of energy. And I know that seems like such a small thing that you said, but oh my gosh, my entire business transformed after that.
That's amazing.
And even still today, when I see you, I still get like, we've all been doing this for a long time, and the information that you put out there, if anybody has not seen Catalina, you guys have to go see her.
Monday at 5 p.m. at PBX. That's my slot, apparently, if you're coming to PBX.
Oh, good. It's the afternoon one this time. They usually put you on in the morning.
Well, and I was kind of like, 5 p.m.? Is anyone even still there? But you know what? I guess they want me to work to fill that room.
Yeah, they're gonna be there just for you, Catalina. You always have a full room.
We'll see about
so
that.
with PBX, you've been doing that for a number of years now, right?
Yeah, this will be, I think, my third or fourth year presenting there.
Oh, is that it? I feel like you're just one of those names like Alan Berg that I just associate with PBX at this point.
You have to go see Catalina. Yeah, everybody says that.
Man, I had to fight for that spot. had to fight to get on that stage.
Did
Really?
you?
Yeah, it wasn't back then. Like before, there was somebody else who kind of did the courses, and they were a tough cookie to get in with. And so they only, I mean, I guess back then they kind of had like their same roster that they rinse and repeat every single year. So I remember I had to jump through hoops. I was like, I want to get on that stage. I have so much I want to share with these people, right? And finally they said yes. It took them seeing me talk at Wedding MBA actually. And Wedding MBA put me in a small room, like where they had all their like side talks happening. And I wasn't even prepared for this because I guess there was a lot of photo booth owners there and it was rammed. People were just standing in the room. And then the guy that was helping at the time came in and he's like, okay, I guess you can talk. I'm like, thanks.
What? They told you on site? Wait, what year was this? Because I went to Wedding MBA like 2 years ago and there was nothing photo booth related. And I felt like they needed something. When was this?
Well,
that would have been 2016, I guess. I'd have to look at the timelines but yeah, 2016. And I did my class on automation. That was the big one that I did back then. Because I think the first time, gosh, I don't even know. My first time talking like on a stage was for Booth Summit. When Photo Booth Supply
was
Co.
that for PBS?
Yeah, when they had their conference, and so in Huntington Beach, actually.
Yeah,
so
my area.
Yeah, I love California.
Yeah,
like I'm trying to move there one day, but we'll see. It's kind of expensive.
Yeah,
but yeah, so it's been a journey for sure. And public speaking is definitely not something that comes easy. But there's always been some people who. I love going to see people talk on stage, and especially like conferences and stuff like that, because it's just there's always like that one person that is going to say something that could essentially like change the way you think about everything. And I always wanted to like not be boring. I don't want to just get up there and talk about nonsense and actually give value. Because the one thing that I really hated about a lot of the conferences is that you get excited about the topics that people are going to talk about. And then there's no structure to their presentation. There's really no value in there either. And they're just kind of talking, right? So I did a lot of
speaking is very hard though.
Yeah.
It is not that it takes a certain skill set to be able to manage that, because you can have
Certainly,
the knowledge, but you just
like a skill set that you've got to keep practicing and
working on
100%.
Yeah. Because there's people that have the knowledge. It's just they just don't have the ability to like present it.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm one of those because I have a fear of public speaking, so I'm terrible.
I'll have to put you behind a screen, and that way you can just talk and won't
yeah,
see anyone.
That's what this podcast was, and I still get nervous with this podcast. The first, oh my, when you talk about looking back and you're just like, oh, we got to re-record that. That's what I feel like about how my early podcast was. I struggled.
She's always been great, though.
Aw, thanks, Jason. You're just being nice, though.
But the Wedding MBA, I remember when they were doing the photo booth stuff. That was the first year that I actually attended, and most of it was. I don't remember seeing you there, so I must have missed yours. But generally, the impression that I got was, "Hey, DJs and wedding venues, you should also buy photo booths." It wasn't aimed at photo booth owners at all. So I think any photo booth owners that attended Wedding MBA
was not
were kind of disenchanted with that right away, and it kind of killed it, and that's why there's not a presence there, because photo booth owners didn't continue.
The way they approached it wasn't.
That's sadly that one I think is dying a slow death. It needs a revamp. It was a good one back in the day, but I feel like it's lost its way. A lot of them did. Even WPPI was the same. It just got it. I feel like it's just going back to its glory days. Now
that one's fun to walk the floor, though. The showroom floor.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. But the pictures when I look back at my first WPPI were just, I feel like you could never get, I can never get that feeling back. Every time I go back to Vegas, I'm like, I want this feeling again. And it's just never happened. What feeling are we talking about? Just, I guess it was excitement. Yeah, excitement. It was my first time in Vegas, and like Vegas is just sensory overload.
Exciting, yeah.
Yeah, and the food. and just like,
yeah, I certainly take it for granted a lot of times. And sometimes I'll be loading up my car and just turn around and see everything and just remember where I'm at. And, the people that travel here year after year and spend so much money to come and like some of the best food and venues and shows. And we're all very fortunate to be part of it here.
yeah, I mean,
Those are
I
amazing.
would be so broke living there. Just on food alone. That's it. Like, just live in the hotel food restaurants. But yeah.
So, Catalina, can I ask you, like, when you started with selling photo booths, when in your career did you mentally set a goal for yourself to like move into like influencing? Because that's what you are. You are an influencer in our industry, huge. You're like a giant in our industry. A lot of people look up to you. Was that something you actively made a decision to move towards, or just you found yourself down that path? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, I definitely found myself down that path, but I also realized that I get a lot of joy out of helping other people kind of break through their own mental barriers, like, because that's what I needed to really be able to like get to that next level. And even now I'm constantly looking for that next person for me to push me to that next level as well. So like right now I'm part of a mastermind group on like getting to 8 figures, right? And I'm so far from 8 figures, but like that's my next goal pretty much. So I'm surrounding myself by people who make 8 figures in their sleep, and I'm going, huh? But anyways, so what I found that like when people were asking me these things, and again, not having that resource, I felt like it was kind of like my next thing was to be able to provide this information to people and to share what I was learning. And I think, again, like going back to Photo Booth Supply Co. and their Facebook community, I shared a lot in there. And I just loved having that conversation with people, and then them feeling like there was, again, someone there sharing more stuff, right? So I just kind of kept going with it. And it wasn't until last year, I guess, where I was like, okay, we're going to go hard on this now, right? I want to help as many people as possible. I really wanted to be able to be a resource for people and be as much of an open book as I can, right? Because there's still a lot of gatekeeping that happens, even on like, a lot of talks and courses and stuff like that. So yeah, sometimes you're just going to have to go with your gut.
So are you more in the boat of that saying of rising? Gosh, I don't know the exact phrase, guys. Rising tides raises
all ships.
Yeah. So you're more in that boat. Have you always been in alignment with that thought process, or was it a journey for you?
I definitely was, because, it was a bit of a shock to me when I bought my photo booth. And I remember I went to this event, and this girl went through my photo booth with like her phone kind of like low key like this.
Yeah,
we've all seen that. We've all seen that.
And I was like, hey, like, do you have questions or anything? This was like our first event that we did. And she was like, no, I like your prop. I don't know what she said exactly, but it was something kind of like no. And then she walked away. And then I find out later that she owned a photo booth company. And so then I got really excited, and I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I'd love to like chat and blah, blah, blah. And maybe we can help each other out. And like, I was met with this,
Yeah.
And there was a lot of resistance for people in my city that ran photo booth businesses, except for one person. And he was really nice. He was like, like telling me how it was in the industry. And this was a long time ago. So everyone was kind of a side hustle except for that one other person. So it was really interesting to me, because I was like, I never thought about like, because the photography industry, you're not really seeing other photographers as your competition. They're really your allies, right? Like you guys support each other, second shoot for each other. So it was a bit of a rude awakening for me. And I'm like, I got to change this, any way that I can. And like in my course, like there's like 3 or 4, photo booth companies from my city that are in my course. I actually just went to swimming class on Sunday and ran into one of the other owners from Ottawa. His daughter ended up being in the same swimming class as my daughter. We were just talking the whole time. And, like there's enough business out there for everyone. And everyone has different niches within the city, right? And even if like somewhere in LA where you see like hundreds and hundreds of photo booth companies. It's like, well, there's 33 million people in California. That's the entire population of Canada is in essentially like most of California. Like, you guys are fine. Trust me. So yeah.
Well, I bring it up because I know there's a lot of owners that, they side one way or the other. I was more of like, no, the competition when I first started years ago. And I was just curious if you've always been on one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I think as I've grown in the industry, I've learned to see the other side. So I'm more on I think maybe Jason, we've talked about this in the past too. Like, you realize we all collaborate. It gets to the point where like you do partner with people and you need that relationship with like your local boothers, national boothers. So you start to like shift. Like I definitely shift because I used to be more, like in my own space. Like if a boother came up and we would be events, exactly what happened with you. Like, oh, how much did you invest in this? Oh, we don't know. I don't know. I'm just an employee. So I was so like, everybody was competition. And then as you grow in the community and you go in your business, you realize it is true. Like the more that you educate our industry, the easier it makes it for all of us. Because when everybody sees value in what we do, we're all able to sell this service so much easier versus like someone who thinks that this photo booth is worth $120.
Oh my God.
You could charge that, so I'm laughing. I used to charge $125 and I thought that was a killing. Yeah. And as I met like all these, it's such a blessing to have PBX and like be able to meet all these amazing people in our industry who have, they're years ahead of you in their experience and they're able to like open your eyes. And that's what happened with me. So I don't charge $125 anymore, but I do see, but I see the value of like being able to like educate the industry and like really opening people's eyes to like what our industry is about and like what it's capable of.
Oh my God.
So I did a switcheroo. Like I was more of like, oh no, go away. And now I'm just like more open. Of course, we talked about like, there's certain things that of course that it's just within your own business. Yeah. But for the most part, like the more you educate people, the more you empower them with the ability for their company to grow, which raises our entire industry, and it's amazing to be able to have that impact, especially you like up on stage. Like, I mean, I've seen the classes that you speak at it, each person walks away with just so much more.
I hope so.
They do, Catalina. They do. Like every year at PBX, whenever I meet with people at PBX, it's always like, "Did you hear Catalina speak? Did you hear it?" Like oh my gosh, everybody gets really excited when you're up there. So every year I hear it.
Love
it.
So
you're doing a great job.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewrite or review my presentation for this year. I am doing a new one this year actually because I've done the one that I did last year. I think I did it for 2 years. And so this one, I'm actually going to do it on pricing because I think that's where everyone struggles the most, right?
Yeah, I see that a lot. I think the first time I saw you speak, I may be confusing it, but I'm pretty sure it was on like proposals, like putting together corporate proposals.
Yeah, I've done, and at this point, I think I've done a lot of, I don't even remember half the time, but yeah, I've done one on how to get corporate just in general. That was like maybe 3 years ago at PBX where I, introduced people to the committee, right? And I'm like, what do I call this thing?
That's always like the hardest spot for me because, like 95% of PBX are like first year people, which arguably aren't ready for corporate, but that's the only question they want answered. They're so, champing at the bit to how do you start getting corporate? And when you can't really say, well, you're not ready for corporate yet, because then, they hate you.
That's not received well. Yeah.
But, seriously, like take your time, learn your trade, make some mistakes. Like don't burn the bridges before they're built.
Yeah. Well, I even like filter people for my courses. Like you have to have been in business for a minimum of 1 year in order to actually take any of my like signature courses.
Oh, wow.
And it's because they're not going to get, like you said, they're not ready, right? You need to own your equipment. Like you need to know what you're doing with your equipment before you can really sell yourself at a premium and stuff. And I think a lot of people don't take that step to really know their equipment and feel comfortable with it so that they can actually sell like that they need that comfort to be able to really sell, to corporate and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I try to be very diligent about that. And there's been a couple that have squeaked through, maybe haven't read the fine print or stuff. And
have they been successful? The ones that, I'm just curious, like if you have that drive to be able to sneak through, have they been able to be successful?
So the one in particular that I'm thinking of, yes, because they
have that drive.
They were, damn, I was like, watch out, whatever city you're in. Because she is.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, if someone is that driven to be able to sneak past like the guidelines, then they're driven enough to make it work. Yeah. So sometimes it is willpower.
Yeah. Tell me real quickly, your courses. So I assume from your emails, I do get your newsletters, that it was more of like marketing and business ownership type structuring and mindset stuff. But through talking to people, it sounds like there's a lot of like actual, like, this is how you set up your booth and these are the settings that you need. So it sounds like you have a much wider spectrum than I realized, that you're really like, let me hold your hand from every single step of your business. How accurate is that? Tell me what your courses are.
That's very accurate. So the first courses I actually released were very technical, right? Like DSLR, I break it down. Like we go over basics, right? Like camera settings, white balance, I think, is one of the number one things that our industry really struggles with. Like they assume that the automatic settings in the camera is the be all end all of white balance. And then I introduce them to white balance shift and their world changes, right? So like it's not okay that your white backdrop is pink. So those courses are meant to be, well, first of all, when I made them, I wanted to make them so that we could train our booth attendants, right? Because we were repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And we had all these SOPs about things that the way I wanted I would train my people, but then they are the ones that started training the people that we were hiring. And so can you
let our listeners know, the ones that don't, because I don't think a lot of us come from a business background, what an SOP is.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. A standard operating procedure. So when you do something more than 3 times, you need to write down the steps so that you can eventually give that job to someone else without having to show them. Like when I want somebody in my company to do something that I normally do, I write it out in an SOP, or I make a Loom video usually. So I can just send them that document and they know exactly how to do it. No questions, nothing. And it just speeds up the process of being able to onboard people and being able to get your employees to completely up to speed. And so that's what these videos were. So these videos are exactly how I trained my staff to do events. And so that's what we use. And so I figured, you know what, if this is something that I want and I need for my business, I'm sure there's somebody else that needs this as well. And frankly, like a lot of people were lost in even a basic DSLR booth, like how to set it up properly and how to do great exposures and really understanding like everything's great when you're indoors and you're in controlled environment because you can usually do the manufacturer's default setting
90% of the time. Yeah.
Right. But the second they are put outdoors or given a neon sign, the brain melts.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do. And it's actually simple if you know what you're doing, if you understand how to control light and how to control your camera. So that's what I really wanted to teach people. And then,
photography one.
Yeah, pretty much for photo boothers, because it is very different, right? But then that went into 360 and the importance of lighting and, shutter speed for video and mosaic and just all the things. Like mosaic for me was the one that I struggled with the most to learn because there was support. Well, there's support articles, but my clients don't like to do basic stuff. My clients are like, oh, can you turn this into an eagle and then have it be online? And also I want you to print this and that. And it's like, I never said no. I always said, yeah, I'll figure it out. And then I would sit in my basement.
That should always be your answer.
Yeah. I would, sit there for hours trying to perfect this, sometimes days. And, I just kind of wanted to fast track it and be like, how do I teach this to somebody so that one of my staff can go and do Mosaic? And so that's how it started, right? But then what ended up happening was people started asking me like, okay, great. Well, now I understand how to do Mosaic. How do I sell this to someone? Like, what do you do to get corporate clients? And like, how do you talk to them? Because like I send out proposals and, they don't respond. And I was like, okay, well, guess I'll do a course on how to do corporate. And so I have a course that's just for corporate, how to break into corporate, because they speak a very different language, right? Like corporate is not the same as a wedding. Corporate, you can actually use like very much like pain point, what is your pain point? This is the solution kind of formula for them. Whereas weddings is very much a feeling. You're selling an emotional thing. And so, I think that's the biggest hurdle that people need to get over when they're dealing with corporate. Corporate don't want the fluff, They want,
it's a different approach.
Items. Yeah. Line items. They want solutions. That's it.
What's weird, I feel like a lot of people start to grasp that and make that transition and start changing their vocabulary. But unfortunately, they change it completely and start treating their brides and things and start saying your wedding activation and using corporate terminology and pain points and things like that, talking to their social clients. And it's very hard for people to differentiate those two
absolutely.
those areas.
That's why I don't believe that you can successfully run both under the same branding because they're so different, well, I guess it depends really on what kind of wedding clients you're going after. But at the end of the day, if you're a wedding person going to a corporate, branded website and it's like not really speaking to you, it's not the emotion that you're wanting to see of your big day when people are like, it sends email and data collection and, all that other stuff. So,
man, Catalina, that just makes me think like how I have to like work on my website, because my website before COVID, I was like mostly weddings, and I switched my website to market to corporate.
Yeah.
So we dropped off completely on the wedding side. Like we don't even get leads for the wedding side. So it's interesting that you talk about that. So how do you approach that for your business? Like, are you mainly focused on corporate or are you mixing both? Because I know some companies do mix both.
We definitely have a mix. So 80% of our business though is corporate right now. And 20% of it is weddings. And at this point, I've automated the wedding portion of it to we do like an hour or less of work on weddings a day. And it's kind of just a machine, right? The leads come in, they go through the system. The only time we talk to them is when they're ready to book. That's the first conversation that we have with them.
And that machine I hear is the best wedding photo booth company in the world.
Sorry. I didn't hear it cut out on my end. I think my internet is being a bit of a nuisance.
I just said that machine that you've got apparently has created the best wedding photo booth company in the world.
Oh, yes. Well,
what machine is it?
Well, she just beat me out last year at Photo Booth Masters for the best wedding.
For the what? What?
For the best wedding photo booth.
Oh, for the best wedding photo booth?
Yeah.
And it was...
Congratulations on that, Catalina.
Thank you. But I will say the competition for that, there are very few awards that I am proud to say that I've gotten. And that is one that I will say brought me a lot of joy because it's a real award with people actually, grading other photo booth owners. It's not a popularity contest. It's not like, you pay for it or anything like that. And,
completely agree.
Awards.
There's no like everyone go and vote for me. It is a panel of judges that looks at things. So it's something to certainly to be proud of. And just as you're proud to win that, there's very few owners that I'd be proud to lose to.
I appreciate that. Well, I will hope and cheer for you this year for sure. You better apply again.
So do you have a separate website for your wedding site and a separate website for your corporate site? So they are, and it's one main umbrella company, or you have totally different branding?
Totally different branding. So I have a corporation called Modern Creative Group that is the parent company of all my other companies. Because I have other companies outside of photo booths, but not many, but I run a studio rental, which is just my old office. And then of course, audio guest books. So it's not a far stretch from photo booths, but so we have Modern Activations, and that's one brand it's all corporate. Our branding is all goes to corporate. And then we have Modern Photo Booth Co., which is wedding. And if you go on our website, it goes to corporate first because that's the majority of the people that come to us. But then if you click on weddings, you'll notice the branding changes completely because we're going after these very like luxury weddings. And so we really we speak the language of those people, right? Like they're not looking for props or boas or, they don't want to see any of that. They want to see a refined product and, a wedding favor or a memento or something that's really like, top of the line for them. So you'll notice that. And we also have 2 totally separate Instagram accounts, right? Because the biggest issue I had was trying to market to both on one Instagram account. And I got on this call with a mentor that I had at the time on social media. And I said, I actually got picked out of like this group of 3,000 people. They picked me to ask a question. I was so nervous because I'm like, I watched this woman's reels and YouTubes religiously and podcasts and everything. And so I asked her, I'm like, I'm having a really hard time marketing to both corporate and weddings on my Instagram account. And I'm just wondering like, can it be done? Because I don't feel like it can be. The messaging is getting mixed. And she's like, you just answered your own question. I'm like, God damn it. Like, yes, you're right. I can't. So, I split my brands. I split my Instagram accounts. And then that year after we did that and we started marketing specifically to our target audience for each one, my wedding leads exploded. Like in January, we had 150 leads come in and 90% of them was because they saw us on Instagram. They saw some sort of, they got introduced to my company through some sort of Instagram post. And then that's, I will caveat that not everyone was our target audience at that point. And that's when we really started refining our message and refining our target and stuff. But it was eye-opening to see like just how dialed in you need to be if you really want to go after a certain target market audience.
Yeah. Do you have a course? Do you have a course on like social media marketing and stuff? Because I feel like a lot of the owners in our industry don't realize how much business you can draw from it. Do you have anything like that right now?
So I just did a launch this year for the Cat Wedding Method, which is my wedding course, like how I built a multi six-figure photo booth business on automation, right? And how, our wedding average is around $3,000 for a 3-hour photo booth and it's all automated. So in that course, I actually have an entire section, which is about 6 hours of content.
Oh my gosh.
Marketing. Yeah. And there's a huge component there about social media and just like really diving into how to really market to people and just we get nitty gritty down to why colors matter on your website, why fonts matter, like all of that stuff. And then how to actually market to them easily. And talking about, the different channels to use. So while I don't have something that's very specific to social media,
something more intense.
Yeah, it's kind of like the blueprint that you want, and then you can decide whether or not you're going to use that in social media. But having said that, one of the things that I'm actually changing for next year is I'm bringing in a lot of coaches, right? So we do monthly coaching calls, and I want to bring in people who know way more than me about these things, right? Like I know what I know, but there are some experts. And so for social media, I have this really fantastic coach that's going to be coming on next year. And she's going to do a whole hour training just on social media, specifically for service providers, because there's a lot of training on how to do product stuff on Instagram, but not specifically for service providers. So that'll be coming next year.
That sounds awesome. When you talk about bringing them on, what are you bringing them onto? Is it like a live? Is it like a weekly session? Or is it like pre-recorded videos that our guests can expect from it?
We meet once a month with anyone who has purchased one of my courses that comes with monthly coaching, or they can actually buy it separately. If they buy any technical courses, you can do the add-on to get into the Facebook group and then do monthly coaching calls as well. And so on those coaching calls, one, I answer questions, right? If people want to talk about something, like talk it out, and it's more than a Facebook post, and that's a space for them to do that, they can, it's also helpful to hear other people and their experiences and, exchange ideas. But then I also bring experts in to talk about something in particular. If I see that in the group people are really struggling with one thing in particular, if it's not like, I've already given them as much as I can for something, I'll bring somebody else in to kind of like give a different perspective on it, right? It also usually is someone who can assist them. Like if they can take that knowledge and apply it. So for example, automation, right? I talk a ton about automation, but I only know Pixify because that's what I use. But a lot of people use like Check Cherry or Booth Books or 17 Hats. So I brought in an expert on all the automation stuff to talk about it. So she could talk about, this is how you would be doing it differently in 17 Hats versus Booth Books, or like, these are the limitations, someone who has a bit of a broader experience with the tool that other people are using. And so that's what I'm really trying to maximize for next year. People struggle with ads. I'm going to bring in an ad expert. People struggle with social media, bringing in a social media expert. Copyright. Oh my gosh, I found the best copywriter coach. Like, I'm so excited. I'm excited to sit in on her coaching class so I can grill her a little bit, So just trying to, again, expose people to maybe some things that they would have never thought of doing, right? Getting those coaches. Just get them in front of them.
So it sounds like an all immersive like business coach, and you're like holding their hand throughout their journey and finding solutions for them when they're struggling with things. That's really awesome. I thought it was just the courses. I didn't know you had such an immersive experience for your clients.
Yeah, well, trying to, maybe not holding their hand, but at least giving them,
walking. Yeah, that's awesome. So can you share with us like a success story that has really wowed you, like someone that came in with, do you have any stories like that so far of any owners?
I have to say, the owners I've met through this course have really they've become friends in many cases, right? Because they're just, I don't even know how to explain it, but I get so much joy in seeing this. And I love every time someone like shares a success story with me. And so there's one, Simar and Swati, they own Polar Ice photo booth in Toronto, which I also have an office in Toronto. But they have just killed it. Like, they started applying all of the technical stuff almost right away. And he posted in our group the other day, and don't worry, I asked him if it was okay for me to use this, but he generated $60,000 of additional revenue in 1 year from adding studio booth, which he learned from the course, right? He did it. And then the next day he bought everything and started testing it out and sending it out to clients. And, I
That's
love
awesome.
seeing that. Like, a $497 course brought him in $60,000 of opportunity, right? In my first couple of students that did the corporate hustle, I did that one live in Australia, and it was a super chill group of people. I rented a really nice Airbnb, and we just did a whole learning thing. And I love seeing them too. Marissa, she's out in Australia, and she is killing it with corporate. I think she probably does 3 or 4 mosaics a week.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, that is insane. I love mosaics, but we only do 3 or 4 a year.
Yeah,
maybe double that, but still.
That's wild.
She's doing so many of them. And she's just stepped up her game. And she was one of those people that was the next week, she's like, okay, I did this, and this that I learned. Is this ready from the recording? And I'm like, I haven't even made it back home yet. My videographer is sitting right next to me. I will get you that content, I promise you. So, there's quite a few people, because you can see the excitement. They actually implement almost right away. And yeah, I love hearing the success stories. So please share them with me if you're listening. And, even if it's, what you said, maybe something in a talk that really clicked for you. These are the things that I need to know, because sometimes I'm thinking about content to what do the people want to hear? What do they need to hear right now? And how do I also deliver it without having their eyes glaze over, right? And so it's
a great job.
Well, thank you. But it's from feedback from people saying this really helped me, or, the way you explain this really helped me. Because I always go back and try to make things better, right? You very rarely will you see me present the exact same talk twice. Something will change in one way, shape, or form. So yeah, there's definitely a few success stories. All the ones you see on my website are legit. and they're from people straight from, their reviews.
Testimonials on your website?
Yeah. So there's testimonials on my website for each course, and they're all directly from people, like I love that excitement too, that they want to share that information and they're all in the same mind frame of, supporting their competition, right? They kind of go back and have a different view sometimes. A lot of them have that view already of like, your competition is your competition. They're a totally different business, right? They run differently. Sure,
different
maybe.
clientele.
Yeah. Not to say you're never going to come up against them, right? It doesn't really matter though. At the end of the day, it's like, sure,
we all become partners, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
I had the same thing when I came into the industry in Vegas. There was a couple established companies and some that weren't really established. Most of them have gone away that were very like Lap was very stay away. This is our secret.
Yeah, I was. I'm not like that anymore though.
Yeah.
The only ones that were really welcoming, I think everyone know, Leslie and Thomas from Joy Squad. They're very welcoming and they're awesome. And like you mentioned, we do bid on a lot of the same jobs, but a lot of times we'll end up helping each other on the job, whoever gets the job and whatnot. And it's just so important to have those people in town. A lot of like, I don't have a glam bot, but if I get a bid for one or a request for one, I know what I can.
You know who to call.
Yeah, they'll white label for me, and I'll reach out and say, "Hey, are you bidding on this one already? Like, let me know where I need to be to help you book this job or whatever." Right. So it's very very beneficial, even in your own community. And I always hear the same, like all these new photo booth companies. We met with who was it? Some industry event. Anyways. I was speaking to someone and they had mentioned that they had met a new photo booth company and had the impression that we were very, like Lap was saying, very
really
hotty-totty and just like we're
so open.
Exactly. And we since had that person over and they were like, yeah, this isn't what people say about you at all. Like, well, what are people saying? Because this is how we always are. If you're local, come to the office, like come hang out. We love to have people over.
I've seen you make those posts.
Yeah.
I remember at PBX last year, it was an open invitation and I wanted to go, but I can't remember. I think I went to Area 51. I had like tickets or something that day, but I remember you making that post. And that's
cool place. I mean, it's not maybe as cool as my warehouse, but
no, definitely
Area
not.
50, they're all right.
Yet another thing in Vegas that is just like,
there's always too much going on. That's why.
So much. I know.
Yeah.
I sleep for 2 days.
They took like 4 years to open. They were building out for so long, and then of course they were delayed by COVID and everything. And everyone was just like so curious because they started their like guerrilla marketing very early and just had like billboards that people are like, "What is this?" That we don't even know what. Like the billboards just said like Area 15 doesn't exist. And we're like, "Well, we don't even know what it is. What doesn't exist?" So
everybody started Googling it.
Yeah, it was really good marketing, and it's one of the coolest places in Vegas that's come along.
It really is.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like in the LA market, man, Catalina, I know you market in here. There's a bunch of people that market in here, and it's, sometimes you bid on the same projects, and it's funny. It's funny when you're like having that back and forth. Where you at? I'm here. Okay, we got to be here. And no matter what, everybody ends up winning because there's so much business for all of us. Like today, I'm not anything like that. Like, I just think of it as like, we're all collaborating. We're all in this hustle together. And, I think it's funny when I get the same bid as someone else. Oh man, Min got it. Min got the bid he won. Like it's never competition with Min because he won it.
Yeah.
His decks and presentations are amazing. So, and I think it's hilarious to me. Like, I just think that you don't have to get upset because there's so much opportunity. There's so much opportunity always. Yeah.
You know what? The thing I realize is like our industry is so new, especially when you're looking at corporate, right? Like weddings, sure. People now we're kind of a staple in weddings, right? Whereas before we were an afterthought.
Yeah.
Now photo booths are coming up in the ranks of weddings as being like, you have to have, you have
to have one. Yeah.
You have a DJ, you have a photo booth, you have a caterer, you have alcohol, like that's just part of the list. Yeah. But for corporate, I really feel like up until like 2-3 years ago is when agencies and like bigger brands and stuff really started to take photo booths a bit more seriously on a larger scale. Because before there was maybe 2 or 3 players in this space, right? And they weren't they wouldn't even consider themselves photo booths. They are like video marketing agencies, and they specialize in just doing that one thing that they do. And so now I feel like there's just so many options out there for corporate clients, brands and stuff like that. And now they're really looking for like, hey, what's the next thing? What can I do at my event? And it's less about like, I need a photo booth. They're like, hey, this is our goal. What can you do? What do you have that's cool and different? And like, what can you actually do for me? So it's changing. That landscape is changing, and it's definitely becoming easier in the corporate world to have them understand the things that you can do outside of just basic photo booth.
I mean, I love the conversation that they now have that same mentality. Like, we have to have a photo booth at this event, because they're understanding it being the marketing value of it. Before, I don't feel like a lot of companies grasp the social media marketing side of it. And now a lot of these companies are playing catch up.
Yep.
And I love that.
Less of the sell has man, what am I trying to say?
The conversation
a lot more
has
education
changed.
before. Yeah, the conversation was a lot more education before, and it's a smaller percentage of education now.
Yeah, now it's more about like throwing concepts at them versus convincing them why they need this photo booth at their event. Yeah.
And that's fun. I love concept creation.
Yeah.
It's the thing that gets me going. And when I see a big event come in, I'm like, I'm taking it. I'll sit in on some of these meetings just so that, we can get that creativity going. And I don't know, that really gets me going when we get to be creative and create something really cool from a photo booth,
Yeah, me too. When someone comes and says, tell me what's new, I'm like, well, what's new isn't here yet. Let's talk about something new. Let's create something. Because if it's new, someone's already done it before.
Yeah. So God, there's some weird stuff I'm sure that's going to come out in the next 10 years now with AI, and who knows? I honestly don't know. I can maybe predict 1 year, maybe 2, but like with AI, people are starting to use it for other things, right? Other than just like turning
uncharted territory.
Yeah, it really is.
And it's always a conversation at PBX. People are always, over drinks and stuff. What's the next big thing? And no one, 3 years ago, no one said AI. That wasn't even a consideration. So, there's no way that we're going to.
I will say enclosed booths are my prediction for next year. I don't know about
enclosed booths have been like,
getting a lot more leads for them.
Yeah. But they're so hard to come by though.
They are, and they're such a pain in the butt to move.
Yeah.
But that is what most of my clients want right now. Like, I think we have 4, and one of them sits in my warehouse. The other one sits in my studio, because we bought it for this one big event or one big installation we needed. And honestly, it's maybe gone out a few times after that, because I charge it so much in the pain in the ass.
Yeah. Anybody that has a classic enclosed booth, you guys should be charging a premium, because those are like collectors now. Like, if you're charging what other people are charging for a regular photo booth, you're cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself.
Yeah.
But Catalina, I want to ask you, like, you need to put out a course about creativity, because you guys are talking about creativity being like your thing. That is not my strength, and I don't feel like a lot of us in our industry have the strength of creativity. Like, is it possible for you guys to put out, this sounds crazy, how do you teach someone creativity? Is that something that you can put out? Because I need that. My strength is technical. My strength is not creativity.
I don't know that you can teach creativity. I think you need to lean into your strength, though, which, if it is technical, you can hire someone who's creative, right?
Yeah, I agree. But also, it is teachable to an extent, because I think a lot of people's lacking creativity is just lacking confidence. If you just start writing things on a whiteboard and start like exploring them, I think a lot of people shut down ideas much too quickly and don't build on them first. So I think if you just like embrace brainstorming and jotting things down, I think that was like one of the biggest things that helped me become more creative.
Is that how you guys both approach being creative? Because I have no clue how to be creative. Like, I wish I was joking.
How about that? I mean, you're actually very creative, because I see your outfits and they are very creative, but it's very well put together too.
Are you saying my outfits are wild?
No, but you
No,
have
creative doesn't
a
equal
very
wild.
particular style, you know, like a lot of people are just like, I mean, I'm very cookie cutter. I wear black because I don't have the time in the day to try and match colors or patterns, or that makes my brain melt. You ask me to mix two colors together in my outfit, and if one of them isn't black, gray, or white, I do not know what to do with it. And I will spend hours on Pinterest trying to understand how to look put together with two or more colors.
Get the old
Whereas
color wheel out.
you put together all these colors and it just works, you know, and that's a talent and that's creativity.
Why didn't I go that direction with my career? I should have went into fashion for my career, because that comes natural to me.
I think you could apply that to photo booths, you know, like the same way that you put your outfits together in colors and shapes and stuff like that. I think if you just try to view it from that angle, maybe when you're doing an event, like, I don't know, play around with it. Honestly, creativity is just a lot of wasted time. Let's be honest. We spent years painting, coloring. I don't even know. I think I've done everything. In high school, I used to like take up spray painting because I was like, this looks cool. I was terrible at it, you know, like, but that's how you kind of learn, just trying new things. You know,
so
I guess
you almost ended up like on Fremont Street painting shirts. Huh?
Yeah. Except no one would have paid me. They would have been like, this is terrible. Yeah. They'll pay me to go away maybe. But yeah, creativity it's a tough one for sure. I think you know, it's either something that brings you joy or something that, you know, makes your head hurt. But there's some people out there that are way more creative. Like Steve from
Steve
Breeze.
is mind blowing.
I know. And he's so nonchalant about it too.
I know.
It's like, he's like, oh, just do this. And you see his graphics and stuff. And I'm like,
you're like, what you mean do this? Where did that even come from? Where'd that concept come from?
His brain is something else. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm excited to see BreezeCon in Vegas because the one in London was amazing. It was, you know, I was texting my team, did you know we could do this and this and this? And they're like, really? I'm like, yes, we'll get recordings eventually.
Yeah, Breeze is so powerful.
Mm-hmm. Do we know if there's anything official dates or anything? I haven't seen any announcements.
Yeah, he posted in the Breeze group in October that it was going to be happening in Vegas. I think it's on the Sunday. So
before?
Yeah, before. Don't quote me on that, but go check his group because I think I'm 99% sure it's on the Sunday before. So it'd be like BreezeCon followed by Booth Mastermind Awards, followed by first day of PBX. So there's no sleep. There's going to be no sleep.
Yeah, that's you. So anybody that goes to PBX already knows. Yeah, anybody that goes to PBX already knows you're not going to get sleep for the whole 4 or 5 days you're there. Forget about it.
Definitely not.
Come early.
Yeah, I'm there the whole week just because like I need one day to just decompress from everything before I go home. Yep.
So what do you do? Do you do anything outside of the expo while you're in town? You haven't?
I always go out for dinner. I have to. I try to eat.
So what's your dinner recommendations?
So last year I got really sick. I was able to do the awards and then I did my talk. And then pretty much after that, I ended up catching influenza A, which I just went and got my flu shot yesterday. So that's not happening again.
Oh man.
And I was out for the count. I did not leave my hotel room until, you know, thankfully I was able to fly home because it just ran its course in the 5 days that I was there. So I didn't get to do it, but you know, there was reservations for Carbone, which I've been dying to try because I love Italian food. I always like to go to, okay, so I'm from Canada, so I don't get Panda Express.
That's funny.
So I
did not expect that, Catalina.
I love orange chicken it's the first meal. Usually the first meal, as soon as I get off the plane, I'm like on the way to the hotel. I'm like, can we stop by Panda Express? But really I just like trying anything out there. You guys have the most ridiculous restaurants. You know, I feel like I try something new every single time. Yeah, and the shows. I don't really, when we were in London, we went to go see Stranger Things.
Oh my God, that was so amazing. That was so amazing.
Mind blown.
That was Catalina. I watch a lot of Broadway shows. I did not expect that to be that amazing. It looks like such a small theater. I did not expect that kind of
We were
production.
not ready. We were not
No,
ready.
I definitely wasn't. I was so late. I'm so glad that I didn't miss much of it. Like I missed like maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes,
Yeah.
yeah. But oh my God, like I couldn't refrain myself. Like I try to be polite at these kind of shows, and there was that scene, and I was like, I just cussed out loud, like, and I looked around, like, oh, I'm sorry. It just is mind blowing. You gotta see
Yeah.
anybody in London, you have to go see Stranger Things. I don't even watch
They're
the show, you
done.
guys.
They're
Oh, they're
done now.
done. Oh my
But
gosh, we lucked out.
we did. It was the last month, but now it's going to Broadway in New York starting in March because yes, I did look into it because I will 100% go see it again.
Yeah, I mean, like it shut down. They had technical difficulties for like
Yeah.
what,
An
like
hour.
half an hour,
Yeah.
and everybody sat in there and waited because it's just the
So
first
good.
half of the show was just so amazing. The second one was even better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to go see, I think, something maybe this year. We'll see what time allows, though, because frankly, like, yeah, there's anything you recommend now that you live there, so you must know the cool stuff.
Yeah, I could give you lots of food recommendations because I also love the food. I don't do a lot of food on the strip. It actually, like, the only time I eat food on the strip is typically during PBX because there's always someone saying, let's go to Hell's Kitchen or something like that, and
Yeah.
I want to go along for the ride. And as far as shows, I feel like I've seen, I don't know, maybe 80% of the shows. So I could always give recommendations on which shows to see and which shows definitely not to see.
It's all worth the money because that's the most expensive show that I just can't get myself to drop money on.
Every Cirque show is worth the money.
Yeah.
Every Cirque of this show is amazing, but is like double or triple the cost of all the other shows.
My favorite was Love, and it was such a favorite that like anytime we decided we were going to go to a Cirque show, we would look around and say, which ones do we want to go to? Let's just go watch Love again because we know how good it is. So we have seen them all, but we saw Love probably like 10 times, and unfortunately it closed because the property that it was at is closed
the Mirage?
down now. Yeah, the Mirage.
Yeah.
So
I should have watched it while it was live.
It is gone. We were hoping that it would transfer over to the Hard Rock because the Mirage was purchased by the Hard Rock, and Love, obviously being a Beatles show, is a good fit for the Hard Rock, but they closed it. So we went to watch it one last time. In the last couple weeks that it was on, and took our kids and stuff to make sure everyone got a chance to see it one last time, and it's gone.
We'll never know now.
Yeah, it was good. But I mean, there's so many good shows. Just let me know what kind of show you like, and I can certainly steer you in the right direction. Is same thing with food.
I want the restaurants off the strip. I love,
yeah. If you like
local
Italian,
recs.
I would recommend both Bootlegger and Nora's. Both of those are
okay. I will look those up for
phenomenal.
Because the strip is great, but so is off the strip. There's a couple of I've gone to off the strip that were really, really good. The Thai place that I can never remember the name of, but I know the building.
Go to like
my favorite
Chinatown area.
Thai is called the Thai, and that's downtown Las Vegas. Is East Fremont. They're really good, and their Archie's is also really good. We just went to an amazing French restaurant that's the type of restaurant where there's no menu. Yeah. So the chef just makes a new menu every month, and that's just what you get. That's what they serve that month.
I want that one too.
Yeah,
I love
every
French.
single course that comes out, they give you the full explanation of where it came from and how it was prepared, and it's very, very
whole experience.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
definitely need the name of that.
If you do
place.
that, I definitely recommend like the wine pairing because they pair each course with a different wine.
Oh my god, I'm so hungry now.
It was nice.
Yeah, I got the food sounds good though. I feel like I got it. I feel like I got to hit that spot.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay, send you the deets.
Perfect.
But I'm always looking for new restaurants because there's just so many. So I always like to hear.
Yeah, it's crazy.
When people come to town, what they try it out.
Yeah, my other favorite is Skinny Fats because my husband's vegan, and so we can both eat there, which is really great. I get my meat, and he gets his delicious vegan stuff, and it's great.
Yeah, I always forget about Skinny Fats, anymore. But we land there every couple months. It's good.
It's just so good.
It's the orange chicken though at Panda Express. It's like all those things like Nikita Thorne from Guides for Brides in the UK. She was just here, and I met her at dinner with Allenberg, and same thing. She said like one of the things on her tourist list was In-N-Out. Like they had to have In-N-Out.
Yeah.
That's a common one, though.
Yeah, that's a
common.
good one. It's so
Yeah, I
good.
feel
Yeah,
like
it's
everybody comes there for the In-N-Out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That, and what was the other? What's the
Is
burger
that
joint?
Mexican?
Shake and something.
Steak and Shake.
I know which one. Steak and Shake.
Yeah. With their
Is
butter
that the one
buns.
that's in South Point? I think it is.
No, that's the one. Yeah, you're right. That's the one that's in South Point, which is okay.
No, there's another one. I know what you're talking about.
The one on the Strip, and it's like green.
It's by New York, I think.
Yes.
It's damn,
Shake
what
Shack.
is it called? Shake Shack. Yeah.
Oh, Shake Shack. Yeah.
I like Shake Shack better than In-N-Out. We have In-N-Outs here and there. Okay.
There's a few Shake Shacks. Yeah, I'm not an In-N-Out fan either.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So for this PBX, do you already have a topic that you are thinking to discuss? I haven't seen the roster, so I don't know if it's already printed. Do you like what topic are you?
No, they haven't printed it yet. Yeah, so I am going to be doing a class on pricing. Of course, like
you were saying.
Yeah, so I do have a pretty like intense pricing course that goes really deep into a lot of stuff, which obviously I can't do on the stage. So I have to like condense it. So I'm going to be kind of working through like the top 3 mistakes I see people make with their pricing and how they can fix it, right? And so that's what my talk is going to be about. Hopefully it's at 5 p.m. So please come. So I'm not talking to a room of just chairs. Because
you never are talking to a room of just chairs. Stop it.
Stop it.
You said on Monday?
Lot of the day, people are going to want to be drunk and hungry, or like
no, they're all going to be waiting for your class. I struggle for
Monday,
the early morning ones. I can't wake up.
Yeah. Sorry.
You said Monday.
Monday at 5 is the slot I've been told so far. So hopefully you guys will at least be there.
Yes, we'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah. I struggle for the early morning classes. Like I don't get up at whatever time the early classes, like 7 or 8. I don't get up at that time. So I struggle to get to those classes.
Yeah. I think mine last year was at
like 8:30.
No. The last year one was at 11, I want to say, or 10 or something. It was still pretty early because
that's still pretty early for people who are out till 4 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. But it was a full house. That was nice. That was a nice crowd.
Yeah.
It's always a good crowd of people at PBX. So I look forward to it every year.
The topic that you discussed last year was pretty awesome too. Like you were talking about like branding and like the wedding side and how you have to exactly what you're talking about, like just matching up your branding to where it needs to be to target specific clients. Yeah, amazing talk.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully this year we'll get some people to stop charging $150 an hour.
I know. Me, I know you're talking to me. I've been down that road. I'm past that road, guys. I'm good now.
I think like one of the worst things about those low prices is people are disillusioned and think they're doing really well because they're overbooked selling at those prices, and then they get themselves in a bind and paint themselves into a corner because they start buying more booths, charging $150, and then they're trying to figure out how to staff people and whatnot, and it all just kind of crumbles. So that's like the first thing I try to tell people is if you're overbooked, don't buy more equipment.
Raise
your prices. And then once you're overbooked again, raise your prices again. Like the last thing you want to do, everyone is familiar with supply and demand. And we know that less supply equals more prices. So don't increase your supply because that's just going to keep your prices low. Like keep your supply low, create that demand, raise your prices. And then, eventually when you have enough, you're making enough money that you can comfortably pay people. You can comfortably pay yourself. You have expansion money, R&D money, mistake money in the bank. Then start looking at expanding and buying more booths and growing out and whatnot. But definitely don't buy more booths before you're ready to buy more booths.
Mm-hmm. And I can't stress enough. It's okay if you are in that position where like you're listening to this and you're thinking, dude, I'm the one that's buying more booths. Cause I was that person. I was the person who thought like if I was booking 6, like we would do events in the morning, early afternoon, late afternoon, evening, late evening. So I was juggling the same booth, and then I bought 2 and then I bought 3, and I thought, okay, I'm doing really well. So if you're that person, it's okay. The one thing is you don't want to be stuck in the mindset that this is success. Like if you're able to reframe yourself and take in the knowledge and like the advice that people are giving you, you can grow. Because I grew. I'm not charging $125 anymore because I wasn't resistant to the advice that was being thrown at me. People aren't giving you advice just because they want to be assholes to you. They're actually giving you advice because we've been down this road, and you know, us making those changes. And sometimes, and I'm not gonna lie, it's like very scary to make these changes. Like the stuff that Catalina probably talks about in her course, it's stuff that's going to be scary. Like you're charging 125 and someone's telling you to charge 3,000 and you're sitting there like, okay, you know, it's very scary to make that change. And I thought I was going to go out of business when I made the transition, but I haven't looked back since. You have to be brave and take those steps, because you're going to dig yourself a bigger hole if you just stay in your comfort zone. And that's the thing. Don't stay in your comfort zone. You got to push yourself to be better, you know?
Nothing happens in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And it's just so weird that people do have that perspective that people are being assholes. You know, if that were the
But it's
case,
true,
then
because
people are
I
paying
was
Catalina to be
that
an
person.
asshole.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah.
but I was that person. I
Yeah.
was the person that was like, oh man, this person's being an asshole. Like they're telling me raise my prices. God forbid I listened to them, you know? And when I did, it changed the course of my business, you know? So yeah, there's people like me who do think that people are being assholes and telling me to raise my prices because they just want to be jerks to me.
Yeah.
And no, they just actually had sound advice. I just was not ready to listen to it. And when I was ready, I mean, it really allowed me to grow. And back then I couldn't afford to pay staff members. Now I have, you know, a big team behind me, and, you know, we all do really well. So don't be resistant. Don't be resistant to change. Like you should be evolving every day.
Every day. Every single freaking day you got to learn
Yeah,
something.
I know. The list never ends. The list never ends. You gotta be learning. You gotta be growing. I mean, that R&D list never stops growing either.
No. But you know, like a lot of people are like, I don't want to waste time watching TV and stuff like that. Even watching TV though, to me, that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from, because I grew up watching TV and movies. Like movies, TV, music, big part of my life. And a lot of times, like I'll get nostalgic over a movie or a scene or something, you know, that I saw, and I try to apply it into a photo
Your
booth.
creative juices.
Right? So like there's days where I'm just like, my brain today needs to, you know, binge an entire 3 seasons of a show on Netflix. So that's what I do. And then usually I get a ton of ideas out of it. So, you know, it looks different for everyone in terms of learning new things every day. And yeah, watching TV counts.
That's
So
great
on
advice.
on the subject of TV, then what are you binging right now?
Oh my God, so much right now. Like, so I started doing wake up and workout, which is I'm trying to work out every single morning, Monday to Friday. I take weekends off. But what I found is that if I'm watching a TV show and that's an hour long, but my workout's only 30 minutes, then I'm really, really want to get on the rower the next morning to find out what happened in the show. So I'm watching Fire Country, I think it's called. It's about firefighters that are like in jail, and it's good. It has one of the main characters from SEAL Team. Again, I watch a lot of TV. And then I was watching this like Spanish telenovela for the longest time. And what I love about Spanish telenovelas is they're like 70 episodes per season.
That's wild.
So
they're very dramatic, right? They're very dramatic episodes.
Over the top. It's so funny. But I love that Netflix has that variety.
I really love your advice, Catalina, about TV, because I'm like guilty of that. It's not because I choose to be. It's just like I always feel like I don't have time to watch TV. But I do know that like music videos and a lot of the old shows, exactly what you're saying. Like you can get so much visual, and that's maybe what I need to do to like get creative. Like start watching TV and like videos and taking in content, because the stuff that they put out is pretty wild concepts sometimes that you can incorporate. Yeah.
And beyond incorporating the creativity of television and movies into your business, I mean, you just need that balance also. Sometimes you just unplug and enjoy something.
I've watched TV for like 4 years. Like I'll binge watch certain shows when I know they're like, now like I was saying after Stranger Things, like I got to binge watch Stranger Things. It's been a month. I still haven't had time to, you know?
Yeah. But music, I know you love music, right?
Yeah.
Music. So I remember, I think was it Childish Gambino when he came out with that music video where the robot arm zooms in and it flips and then and I remember watching that scene going, what? I need this in a photo booth. And now we got that with robot arms, but I was texting all my photo booth friends and I'm like, how do we do this? Like we were trying to figure out how to do it with a gimbal, and like, so that one piece of music video is so vivid in my mind, you know? So like, do whatever, like, I don't know, whatever you're feeling at that moment. You want to watch music videos, you want to watch stupid YouTube stuff. I don't know. You're going to get something out of it. The universe delivers what you need, right?
I think I do have to start doing that, like start watching TV and like a little bit more social media, so I can see, because the stuff they're putting out on like TikTok and Instagram is all really creative. I always feel like I just am so strapped for time, but now I'm thinking it might be an investment on the creativity side. Mm-hmm. I didn't see it like that before you said that.
Yeah, it might be. You never know.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have to run to another meeting that started about a minute ago. I just realized.
Oh gosh.
Well,
the kiddos up. The kiddos up today.
That's important. That's very important.
Can't forget them at school.
No. This was so fun, though. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Catalina. It was such an honor to have you on.
Absolutely.
Let me know when the episode goes live. I will put it everywhere too. And I'll see you at PBX.
Yeah, I believe it's just over a month. 33 days.
Yep.
So,
exciting.
Say hi to Catalina. Say hi to Laughing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And jump into Catalina's presentation.
Be there.
Fight for your chair. You're probably going to end up standing.
Yeah, get there early is what we're saying.
Oh, thank you
guys
so much.
Thanks again, Catalina. Thanks everyone for. We'll see you
next
time.
Guys. Bye. Oh, she jumped off real fast.
I didn't stop yet.
Meeting, yeah.
To keep the conversation going, join our Facebook group, Pro Booth Talk Community. If you enjoyed this podcast, consider showing your support by subscribing, liking, reviewing, or sharing this topic with someone in the industry.